Good morning. Globally, the dominant development is the rapid escalation of the US-Israel-Iran conflict and the way it is now feeding directly into energy markets, inflation expectations and financial volatility. US President Donald Trump has demanded Iran's unconditional surrender, while US and Israeli strikes have continued, including reported attacks affecting Tehran and Beirut. A US commander has accused Iran of targeting civilian areas and warned it will not go unanswered, signaling the risk of further retaliation and a widening theater. The economic spillovers are already material. Oil has surged above $90 a barrel for the first time in this conflict, and Qatar has warned the war could force Gulf energy exports to stop within days if disruption intensifies. Global bond markets are suffering one of the worst routs in years as investors reprice inflation risk from higher energy costs and as uncertainty rises around growth. In the U.S., the economy has unexpectedly shed 92,000 jobs in February, adding to concerns that the global economy is entering a more fragile phase just as energy prices rise. Strategically, the conflict is also unsettling major powers. Reporting highlights China is not yet feeling the full shock, but is watching the ripples closely given its energy exposure and regional ambitions. Separately in Washington, Trump has replaced Kristi Noem as Homeland Security Secretary after a controversial tenure, a reminder that U.S. domestic politics and national security settings remain volatile alongside the external conflict. On the technology and artificial intelligence front, a notable policy move is coming from Indonesia, which plans to ban social media for children under 16, positioning itself as the first in Southeast Asia to impose such a restriction. It's a significant signal in the broader technological revolution. Governments are moving from debate to enforcement on platform harms, age verification and the role of algorithms in shaping youth behavior. Turning to Australia, the Middle East conflict is now producing visible domestic impacts. Australia-bound flights from the region are arriving with empty seats, reflecting late confirmations and safety concerns even as services resume. At the same time, the fuel price channel is becoming immediate. Analysis points to the Iran war already lifting prices at the Bowser, underlining Australia's exposure to global oil shocks and the likelihood of renewed cost of living pressure if crude stays elevated. In Canberra, the foreign policy debate is sharpening. Commentary around Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney's call for middle powers to coordinate more actively contrasts with Australia's continued closeness to the US, with Iran and AUKUS cited as key tests. Domestically, the politics of the conflict is also in focus, with questions being raised about how strongly the Albanese government has aligned with US action and how that stance will land with the public. For markets, the key watch today is how the Australian share market digests the global mix of higher oil, rising bond yields and weaker US jobs data conditions that typically pressure rate-sensitive sectors, while supporting energy exposures, but also raise recession risk concerns if the shock persists. Finally, locally, there have been two serious incidents to note. An 18-year-old surf lifesaver missing on the Sunshine Coast has been found dead after a major search, and police in Melbourne's north are investigating a man's death following reports of a group fight.